Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a brand new viewer. So I am so excited because I am finally swatching the Holo Taco Rock Candy collection. This collection came out, at this point it came out probably about a month ago by the time I launched this video. Yes, I know, I'm sorry, I know that's a long time. I've had it for a while, but I had a couple of other things in the pipeline to film before this one, so I just hadn't got around to it yet, but I am getting around to it today. But I'm really excited to swatch this collection. I always look forward to whatever Holo Taco does as it relates to the rainbow, and this is our fourth rainbow collection. It's hard to believe, but it's been 5 years of Holo Taco, or will be 5 years in July, so it's so crazy to think that it's already been 5 years for this brand. But getting to the rock candy collection, this is a 7-piece collection in the crushed Holo formula. So this is the formula that was first introduced, gosh, I think it would have been January of last year when they did the Holo Barista collection. And I think they've done like 1 or 2 other bottles, not part of like main collections in this particular formula, which I really, really like. So I've got some bottle shots here, and I have to say, of all of the rainbow boxes, I feel like this is probably one of my favorites. I can't decide between like this one in like the dark rainbow. I like both of those boxes, but there's something about like the geometric elements of this box that just make it like really, really awesome. So it's probably one of my favorite boxes. Now, Christine did say with this particular collection that it was not going to be like the official colors of the rainbow, whatever those are. So even though this is a rainbow collection, it may not be like the traditional colors of the rainbow. I don't personally care about that, so it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. So we're going to start with Electric Sweetener. Holo Taco describes Electric Sweetener as being a sort of purple magenta base shade with a blue iridescent micro shimmer as an undertone, and you can really see the shimmer when you turn the bottle to the sides. It almost has like a sort of multi-chrome effect where you can only see the shimmer from certain angles. So for me, I'm going to be doing 2 coats for everything today. On my nails, I always use the Holo Taco Peely base anytime I am doing swatching purposes. So what I'd say about this shade is, on first coat for me, it certainly looks like a very light purple. And again, that shimmer is really present at different angles. I do love purples, and I just think this formula is just really, really dynamic. And then once you do a second coat of this, you can definitely see the sort of more like a medium shade of purple. And I really like this shade of purple. And I think the shimmer makes it more dynamic as well. And I can definitely see it in the second coat. And I feel like if I did want to do a third coat, it would be even more prominent. So I think this is a really pretty shade. And I look forward to more things in this formula, but I'm secretly hoping that we get like a reflective glitter collection somewhere on down the line. Maybe the next rainbow collection, maybe it would be like reflective glitter micro Holo formula, sorry, crushed Holo formula. Next up is going to be Pop Rocker. So this is described as being a bubblegum pink with a sort of like indigo blue micro shimmer underglow. So you definitely see that micro shimmer like when it's in the bottle to the side. What I would say about this one is that on my skin tone, I think this one is sort of like a color that's in between pink and red. You know what I mean? Like in the bottle, it definitely does look a little bit more pink. And certainly like when you compare it to the red in this collection, which will be next. But I feel like on my skin tone, it kind of leans into being pink or red. So like if somebody asks you what color of this, you might be like, that's red. No, it's pink. You know what I mean? Like on a lighter skin tone, I think it would be more distinctly pink. And that's not a bad thing one way or the other. I think it's just an observation that it can kind of float in between sort of like the pastel pink and sort of like a pastel red. I do love pinks. I think this one is really pretty too. I don't know if I love the shimmer in this one because it's such a sort of juxtaposition in terms of like the actual color, because the shimmer is sort of like a blue shimmer. I feel like for this, I might have liked like something a little bit more complementary, like an orange shimmer or something like that. But I do think this is a pretty shade. Next up, we have Jam Session, which is my first favorite of the collection. This is described as being a sort of red coral base color with a pink iridescent micro shimmer Underglow. Wow, that is so much to say. This is so beautiful. I absolutely love this shade in the bottle. And once I put it on my nails, I knew it was one of my favorites. Reds have become, they're in line with my favorites when I think of like what colors I love to wear. I'd say my top three, at least in this order in terms of like right now, is like reds, purples, and pinks. And this shade is so beautiful. The funny thing about the micro shimmer is that I do see the micro shimmer in terms of being pink, but I also feel like the actual base color has some kind of gold in it, or maybe it's just the nature of the crushed formula in red, but it also gives off this sort of gold shimmer, if you will. So there's like a red gold shimmer if the base polish, and then you do see that pink shimmer when when my nail is turned to certain angles. And I just think this is an absolute beautiful shade. And when I watched the Holo Taco live stream, I don't think anybody named this as being their favorite. I don't know which one they picked, but I was like, how are you guys sleeping on JM Session? Which is what I think Christine said too. Well, I didn't sleep on it, Christine. This is definitely one of my top ones of the collection. I absolutely love this shade, and I feel like I can't rave about this shade enough, but this is just definitely one of my favorites of the collection. I absolutely love this color. Giving us some sunshine next is Sunshine Crush. So this is described as being a warm, sort of golden yellow color with an orange and pink iridescent micro shimmer. So this is my second favorite of the collection. Nobody really likes yellows, or at least like in the grand scheme of things when Christine does her polls, but I actually really love yellows and I really love oranges. And I do think the base shade of this is much more yellow, but the micro shimmer also gives it like a nice orange tint. So it's sort of like a deep mustard color, if you will, which I really like because even though I like yellows, I tend to like the darker spectrum of yellows because I just think the warmer tones look a lot better on my skin tone. And I think this is really complementary to my skin tone. It really makes it even like a brighter shade. And then the micro shimmer is really complementary to the base color. So I think it ends up being one of my favorites because I just love the way that it looks on my skin tone. And then I just really love the color as well. And it's a nice addition to the collection because it's on the brighter side, whereas, you have Jam Session, which is a little bit darker, and then there's a green and there's a purple. So I like this color as well. And I just like the combination that she did to get this one. So this is definitely my second favorite of the collection. Next up, we have Sour Note, which is a nice sort of medium grain with a yellow pink iridescent micro shimmer. I'm pretty sure that's the color shift. Yeah, sorry, yeah, pink yellow. Yes, that's what I said. So this one, I really like this color because it reminds me of one of my favorites from the OG collection, which is green taffy. People don't like greens either when it comes to Holo Taco, which I don't know why. Greens are gorgeous, but this reminds me a lot of green taffy. I think green taffy was probably a smidge darker than this one, and because of like the micro shimmer that runs throughout this one, I think it ends up being a smidge brighter. But I like the micro shimmer with this like pink yellow. I feel like I see the yellow more than I do the pink, and I think the yellow is a really nice complementary shade to green. And I just think this is a really pretty green, and I love the crushed formula so much. Like I said, I really hope we get more things in the crushed formula because it's just a really interesting formula and makes really a dynamic formula, and especially when you start adding things like the micro shimmer. So this is Sour Note. Next up, we have Blue Rizzler. So this is described as being a sort of blue violet base shade with a pink iridescent micro shimmer. So I gotta say, this is my least favorite one of the collection. For me, it reminds me of a couple polishes that just aren't my favorites. It reminds me of Spyglass from the Royalty collection, which was not one of my favorites. And it's the same, Spyglass was in the same crushed formula, but it was definitely a little bit lighter than this. I think for me, this also reminds me of like multi-chromes, and that a lot of multi-chromes are sort of in this blue pink shift. So I don't know why, but I don't vibe with this one that hard. It's not that it's an ugly color or anything like that. I just think like as it relates to the other colors in the collection, I just really like them a lot more. And I do usually really love purples, but I don't know, like this one's like a purple blue, and I can definitely see the shift more. So I don't know, maybe the color just needs to grow on me, but as it stands right now, the color is really pretty, but it's definitely not one of my favorites of the collection. Last but never least, we have Sugar Rush, which is described as being an off-white shade with a yellow-orange micro shimmer underglow. And I had no idea this would be my favorite of the collection, mainly because I'm not a big fan of like white effects polishes. And by that, I mean like white polishes that have effects in them that are not contrasting colors, because I tend to feel like when you have something that is white as like a glitter or like a holo, it doesn't really come across because the base shade is so light, and whatever else you have in there is, if it's not contrasting, it just sort of gets muddled. So I've never been a huge fan of like white effects polishes, but the shimmer in this one gives such a really great contrast. And this shade is white, but it's off white, so it's almost sort of like a very light gray. And those two things together just make this color so pretty. I loved it so much. And I didn't go into this collection thinking that this would be like one of my favorites for those aforementioned reasons, but I really, really love this color. And I would rock it on its own, not just for nail art. But yeah, Sugar Rush ended up being one of my favorites of the collection. And I would kind of like to see her do some other funky things with some white polishes. I wouldn't mind like a white collection if she could make it work to make the whites dynamic or off-white in this case. So next up, I've got some comparisons so you can see all of them. So here is the Rock Candy collection all next to each other, and I do think this collection is very complimentary, even if it's not the official rainbow, whatever that means. I do think these all look really good next to each other. As I mentioned, my top three in order of my favorites are Sugar Rush, Jam Session, and Sunshine Crush. And I would say like a runner-up for being in my top three would probably be Pop Rocker. It does look a lot more pink when I'm looking at it sort of in this context, so I definitely would say it would be like my runner-up for being in my top three. I really enjoyed this collection. I always look forward to the rainbow collections. They're always really dynamic and different, and I'm just excited to see where this year takes us, because Holo Taco is always super variable and always bringing new and exciting things to the nail polish community. So let me know in the comments below if you guys picked up any of these. Did you pick up the whole collection? If so, do you also love the box? I did a poll on my community tab, like which one of your rainbow boxes is my favorite. I still can't decide between the dark rainbow and this box, but just let me know in the comments below. All right, that's my time. Catch you later. Bye.